I have with me today David Wei. He is the 16th generation lineage holder of Wudang Zangsang Feng Pai. He's the founder of Wudang West Cultural Heritage Center. He's a California local, born right here in the Bay Area, if I recall correctly. And he's my teacher and friend. Welcome to Tiger Talk.
Hey.
And thanks for having me over for tea.
As you've been here in person having tea,
Yeah.
and as I'm kind of having tea ceremony with you now. Hi, thank you for having me on the Tiger Talk. I'm a monkey, and so this might be troublesome.
Well, I'm also born year of the monkey. And so it's always this interesting, I've always noticed an interesting tension. Those born in the year of the tiger and those born on the year of the monkey.
Yeah.
But
very
but
common.
What's that?
Very, very common.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's part of the whole how would you describe that to someone who, is already confused by what we're talking about?
It just speaks to particular personality types, and monkeys tend to be playful, and they like to pull on the whiskers and pull on the tail and kind of get just inches away from getting their throat sliced or their neck bit. And so monkeys like to play with danger, and so they like to antagonize the tigers. And in my experience, those that have kind of tiger personalities, not just year, but even like tiger hour in the astrology, right? Because there's other ways that tiger influence can show up. And yeah, just those that are tigerous don't get along with my monkeyists. And sounds like you have a similar experience.
I have really great regard for my tiger friends, actually, and we don't see each other frequently and we don't interact frequently, and we often express how we want to interact more. There's a wheel of 12, which is common in such things like astrology.
Yeah.
And then it's that same wheel that kind of measures the year based on the moon, and it also measures hours of the day or like blocks of time. Do I have that right?
You described that far better than me. Good job. Yeah, absolutely.
And so here
Almost
we
like
are.
a wheel behind me. Yeah.
That's yeah, of course I
Not
could
that
see.
it's similar, not this very one, but it's a similar wheel where, like you're saying, the zodiac is laid out like the hands of a clock or the hours on a clock, and animal represents a different slot. It's a way of understanding time. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And it's so there's this whole sequence where it's 12 times 5 almost, because on that wheel is also the 5 elements that contrast to Western thinking, right? In Western thinking, they say what? Earth, air, fire, and water. I digress.
It's earth, wind, and fire.
Earth, wind, and fire, right? And because they say spirit is the 5th element in the West.
Word.
Well, no, that's the thing, because within the 5 elements, air is not measured really, right? Because that's the Qi, and that's like permeates all of the 5. Would that be fair to say?
In Chinese, interestingly enough, the air and metal are interchangeable.
Oh.
Yeah. They are kind of, in the Chinese view, you have, I'll illustrate on my immaculate body, right? So I'm not me, I'm nature, and just as you and all of us, right? And so if we were to look at the beautiful bay, which we're both from, right? The Bay Area, the water is on the bottom, and that would be 2 hands on our bottom, right? From the bladder down. That's where our water, our urine goes down, right? After you come out of the water of the beautiful bay, not that you would want to swim in it, but after coming out of the water, you come onto the shoreline, that's the earth. So the next 2 hands from the bladder, now we have earth. This is where our navel is. This is where our gross center of mass is. This is where our center of balance is. So our dantian is. This is our earth, right? After water, earth, now you want to climb even higher. Now we're in the brush, the trees, the shrubs. That's the wood element. And so another 2 hands, now we're in the place of the plexus, the rib cage where the liver resides. Specifically, this is the thoracic region of your spine where you bend and twist, right? And so we say all that to come to the next element. If we continue up, it's air, right? Not metal. And the last element is fire, right? And so with the two hands, we have water down below, earth, wood, air here at the lungs, and fire is the light of the luminaries, the sun and moon of the eyes, the light of our consciousness. And so the five elements in that view have air instead of metal. And so the two are interchangeable if you're still listening.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So the two are interchangeable because you would think that what's harder than metal? What's more ethereal than air, right? So how do the two work together? And the idea is they're similar in their compression. Okay, so I'll back up to explore the rest of the five elements really quick. Water will go down, right? Fire goes up, right? Wood goes out. Metal comes in. Earth is stable, right? And so where metal and air are the same is where they come in. They compress and condense. When air compresses and condenses and comes in, it consolidates the condensation, which generates clouds, which generates water, right? And so that's where it fits in the five element sequence, because to tie it back to the five elements of tea, right? I have the earth, I have the wood, right? Clearly have the water, the heat, the fire, but the metal is the vapor. It's the steam, right? The air, the compression consolidation of the vapor and the air and the steam, right? And so that's where air and metal kind of are interchangeable, not in the physical expression of it, but in the energetic expression of compression and condension. Does that make sense? Did I over-explain that?
No, that makes beautiful sense. No, we're not discussing literal metal. We're discussing these concepts as metaphors in the same way that there's not any one tiger out there that the year is named after. And this year, the appropriate element is the water tiger. So there's the nature of a tiger, which we talked about just a moment ago. And then there's the nature of water, right? So then that's how one would reckon the nature of this year as a year of the tiger.
Yeah.
And
so great segue then, because what makes the water tiger special, we can tie back into the five element conversation, is we can look at the procession of seasons. Okay. And so spring would be the first season, right? And then summer, then fall, then winter, right? And that could also translate to a day, right? Morning would be spring. The heat of the day would be summer. Evening would be fall, and nighttime would be winter, right? And so the four seasons of a year can also be in a day, right? And so the five elements can be expressed there too in the nourishment cycle. And so wood translates to springtime, because that's the sprout, that's awakening, right? Fire translates to summertime, right? Earth then translates to kind of late summer. We get it really good here in California. We call it the Indian summer. It's that kind of dry season, right? Right before fall. Right? And here we get it like September through October. That's our peak fire season here in California, right? So we call it Indian summer. So that's Earth time. Fall would then be metal when things start to come in, the leaves start to fall. And then winter is water, right? When snow and white snow caps and, it's quiet. And then so to translate that to our life, right? Not our life, but the tiger, right? So a wood tiger then would then be a baby cub. Does that make sense? And then your fire tiger would then be like the teenage adolescent, has a lot of power, but doesn't quite understand it yet, doesn't know how to contain or harness yet. So kind of dangerous-y, kind of sporadic and impulsive tiger, right? Then your earth tiger would be kind of more the mature, the realized, earn their stripes, so to speak. Then your metal tiger, this is kind of retirement ages, like your George Clooney tiger, right? Still's got some good power, still sexy, but maybe a little bit slower, maybe a little more tired. And then your winter tiger, your water tiger, that's the tiger that's retired. That's the tiger that has no more of a chase. Not that tigers chase anyway. Tigers are more pouncers. So an old tiger would probably be a little bit more calculated. They'd probably, because they don't have the endurance. And so they'll be really clever when they hunt. It's muted in a sense, That's what we can say about our water element as an influence to the tiger.
So hopefully beneficial to monkeys.
Yeah, tiger's a little tired, so I can pull the tail a little bit harder.
Take that extra half a second to get up that tree.
Yes, see? Great application.
When I speak to other comic book people who aren't as familiar with martial arts, right, they're often surprised and delighted by the concept that one can have good kung fu in such things as cooking or painting or drawing. And the go-to example would be like the calligraphy, because, that's such an easy thing for people to identify. They may not be able to read it, but they kind of know it when they see it.
Yeah. Good calligraphy, I think my teacher would say, still looks wet or something. It could be 50 years old. It still looks wet. Still looks like it has life, Calligraphy, yeah, absolutely translates. But there's martial artists like Miyamoto Musashi, the swordsman, who would find principles in carpentry or wood carving or auto mechanics, or in that time, wagon mechanics, right? Or flower arrangement. He would kind of explore different skill sets that would otherwise have nothing to do with swordsmanship, but how you cut the flower, how you place, how you posture yourself and where it rests with the other flowers in relation. He would take these principles and allow them to inform his swordsmanship. And by the same token, let his swordsmanship inform his fishing. And principally, they're all the same. And within the definition of Kung Fu doesn't mean fight or self-defense. I'm sure this is a tired conversation amongst your listenership. Kung Fu just means hard work. And so in that regard, it's just your work ethic. It's just, your grit, your elbow grease, your midnight oil. It's, anything you put your skill to is your Kung Fu. And for some, it could be how well they tweet, or, how way they play Call of Duty. Is whatever you put your time and energy into, you're going to get good. If you sit on your couch every day, it's going to wear your butt cheeks into it. It's like whatever you do all the time, you'll get good at. It's Kung Fu. It's just your repetition, And so the way you choose to invest your time is just going to determine the skill you build. It's all Kung Fu. Well, to tie into art, my experience with art is graffiti. And speaking of graffiti and time, or just restraints on the art, you have legal restraints, you have time restraints, you have medium restraints. A lot of youth have to steal their spray paint. You might be limited in color that way too. You only have so many cans, right? And just in classic graffiti, the classic duo of chrome and black. Like, this is like a testament to your skill as an authentic graffiti artist. It's like how good you can just rock those two colors. The depth that you can attain with just chrome and black speaks to your skill. And so, almost like limiting what you have available as medium speaks to how good you are.
Silver and black, right? Those are Raiders colors as well, right? There's something there. Excellent. Well, this has been a personal delight because, it's so much fun to chat. And it's been, I'm so gratified that you've decided to be a part of this because, the goal is to get these thoughts and ideas out there,
Great.
far and wide. I mean, I'm looking at the youngest readers I possibly can think of for the specifics of my comic, but I want it to be there for others to like be able to bounce off of. So thank you so much for the time and the tea and the wisdom.
Well, I'm flattered and honored and overjoyed to be on your platform. I know who you are in this world. I know your contribution to Wulan martial world specifically, and I know you're going to have some amazing masters on this show. And to be amongst the ranks, it's an honor and a privilege, and I'm flattered to be considered for your project. Next time you have me on, I'll show you my Procreate art. It's just all graffiti.
Oh, I'm excited for that.
You have variety. Like you have monkeys and tea and comics, and like you have realism and cartoonism, and I'm blown away by the variety that you have.